Hi, my name is Callie, and this video showcases how I spent a 9-hour layover in London, England. Keep watching to see what I was able to do, eat, and see in my short few hours in the city. I do want to preface this with the fact that this was my third time visiting London, so I'd already seen a lot of the major sites. My main goal for this stopover was to just check out some sites that I hadn't been able to see in the past, and just kind of walk through the city more and just take my time and see some sites that were a little more unique. This trip was for a work trip. This was my first time flying first class, which was really exciting for me because I got to go to the lounge and then we boarded the plane and I got to sit in first class. This was for a work trip, so I was very fortunate to be able to do this. But we boarded and I got comfortable in my seat as we were preparing to take off. And before we knew it, we were lifting off, headed toward London, England. We were served dinner, and then once I finished dinner, we had a little dessert, which was adorable. And a few hours later, I woke up and we were landing at our destination. We landed in London around 6:30 a.m. And once we disembarked from the plane, we headed for the Heathrow Express, which is the train system that will take you into London from the airport. It was pretty easy to get to, and you just have to make sure you buy the ticket for it. And here's the train pulling up for us. Put you out at a train station where you can then transfer to either a tube subway system, or you can go out on the street and catch a bus or a taxi. So we opted for the tube system, so here we are riding the tube. And our main goal during this period was to find breakfast. So we went to this cafe that we found. It was a very nice cafe. I loved the atmosphere and the aesthetic.
Yeah, let's window look.
Alright.
Just grab some menus.
I had some iced coffee and then a nice breakfast sandwich. They also had some delicious looking pastries in the windows. And then from there we started exploring the city. We just kind of ambled around. We didn't necessarily have a plan in place. We hopped on a bus to get more towards the center of the city. We decided to walk through Leadenhall Market, which supposedly is what inspired the architecture you see in Harry Potter. There's also a lot of designer fashion stores in this market and some nicer restaurants, and overall it just has a really cool look to it. We continued walking through the city. We came across this monument, which commemorates the Great Fire in 1666. And it has all these very intricate and delicate carvings at the base of it. We also walked through the courtyard of St. Dunstan Church. It wasn't open to the public at the time, but they still have a really beautiful courtyard with immaculate gardening and overall a great place to take pictures if that's what you're looking for. And of course, pigeons, because they're everywhere. Here we have a quick sighting of my boss as well, who I was traveling with. But yeah, they just have this beautiful ivory growing everywhere, and it just looks straight out of a book. Then we hopped back on another bus, because why not? And it's also one of the easiest and fastest ways to see a lot of the city. And we eventually found ourselves across the street from the Tower of London. Here we're walking through the Trinity Square Gardens and Tower Hill Memorial area. And you can actually see the Tower of London straight across the street from here. We did not go inside of it because I've actually already done it before, and so had my boss. So we didn't bother stopping, but it's a really cool place to visit if you've never been before. And we started walking towards the Tower of London Bridge. This bridge is really cool to walk across just because you get another good view of the city skyline. And this is also interesting because you can see that one side of the river has the more historic portions of London and the other side is more built up and modern in its architecture. We also decided last second to buy tickets to go up into the tower of the Tower of London Bridge. If you didn't know, you can go up into the towers, and I had never done it before. It does require you to climb a few flights of stairs. I think it's a little over 100 stairs, but it was totally worth it if you ask me. And you can walk across these see-through clear skywalks between the two towers and get an even higher view of the city. These are just some really cool pictures I captured while I was up there. They also have a section that's completely see-through on the floor, which is kind of terrifying but also really cool.
Oh, I actually was not prepared. Oh, I don't like this.
They also have some historical posters and facts listed throughout the skywalk as well, and you can learn more history about the towers. And then we headed back down the tower, and we thought the museum was over, but actually if you follow a set of arrows and lines that guide you around the corner from the towers of the bridge, you will come across the engine room of the towers, and you can actually go in. These do not actually operate the bridge anymore, as they've got a completely new system. It used to be a steam-powered system, now it's an electronic system, but they still have the components there, and you can still see how they would have worked back then. Once we were finished with the London Tower Bridge Museum, we decided to walk along the River Thames. We passed this little brewery that was all decorated. They also have these unique animal sculptures along the River Thames. A specific artist created and built these statues, and they all have fun descriptions and names along with them when you look at the plaque. From there we decided to go to Borough Market, and just for reference of how long it's been, we got to the city center around 7:30, and at this point it is about 11 a.m. We've already explored a good portion of the city within a 3.5-hour period. The Borough Market is pretty famous because they have a lot of different food vendors, a lot of unique different food throughout here. You can get fresh vegetables, sandwiches, desserts, you name a food, they probably sell it here. It can get very hectic and busy during certain periods, so just be aware that it may not look as open as it does in these videos. We got very lucky with our timing. From the Borough Market, we were reasonably close to Big Ben. It was just a quick tube ride away, so we decided we might as well hop over there while we're near it and check it out, because the last time I was in London it was actually completely covered up for renovations, so it's been a while since I've gotten to see it. If you take the tube straight to Big Ben, it actually puts you out right in front of it, which is a great view as you're coming out of the tube. Then we decided to cross the street and walk past Westminster and along the gardens through there. And I captured some cool pictures while we were in the area. Then we decided to kind of circle back a little bit and walk through St. James Park. The cool thing about this park is they have a bar in the center of it, and you can actually drink openly in the park. So we picked up some beers to go, and we just kind of sat and hung out in some of the grassy areas in the park. And once we were done at the park, we jumped on the bus. We got a quick glimpse of Buckingham Palace, which is at the edge of the park. And we were headed for one more quick stop before we headed back to the airport, which was for dinner. For dinner, we decided to go to a pub called the Monkey Puzzle. I got a cider as my drink and had some shepherd's pie as my dinner. Then we hopped back on the bus, headed to the train station, hopped on the train, and the train took us all the way back to the airport. We made it back to the airport, and we checked in for our next flight, and we started boarding. So from the time that we left the airport at around 7 a.m. that morning to the time we got back to the airport at about 4 p.m., we were able to squeeze in a bunch of activity. It's just important to note that it does take an hour one way to get into the city, so you have to factor in about 2 hours of travel time to get to and from the city. But as long as you have a huge layover like we did, it works out really great. So we boarded our flight and got ready to head to our next destination, which I was pretty excited about, and I will actually be doing a video series on the rest of our work trip in the next few videos I post. So we were headed to Cairo, Egypt. Continue to follow as I showcase what we did in the main portion of our work trip and all the sights we saw and what we did. Here's an itinerary and summary of what we did and where we ate during our short time in London, and thanks for watching.